The large metal ship cut through the emptiness of space, its engines glowing blue against the backdrop of distant stars. Inside, Commander Ethan Wright stood on the bridge of the Earth Space Force vessel Harbinger, his eyes fixed on the main screen. His heart beat faster as the ship approached the meeting point where humanity would make first contact with alien life. "Navigation, status report," Ethan said, his voice calm despite the tension in his shoulders. "We're 5 minutes from the coordinates, sir," replied Officer Alan Peters from his station. "All systems normal." Ethan nodded and straightened his dark blue uniform. This mission marked humanity's first venture beyond their solar system after the recent discovery of faster-than-light travel. The strange signal they had received 3 months ago had led them here, to this distant corner of the galaxy. "Communications check," Ethan ordered. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez tapped her screen. "All channels open, Commander. Translation software is ready." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They were the best Earth had to offer: scientists, soldiers, and explorers chosen to represent humanity. Dr. Keith Wilson, the ship's medical officer, stood next to Ethan, his eyes wide with excitement. "Do you think they'll look like us?" Keith asked quietly. Ethan shook his head. "Not likely. But appearance doesn't matter. We're here to make friends, not judge books by their covers." The main screen blinked, showing a massive structure floating in space ahead of them. It wasn't like anything humans had built. The station had no straight lines, flowing instead like water frozen in time. It glowed with soft lights of colors humans had never named. "That's beautiful," whispered Olivia. "Life signs?" asked Ethan. Security Chief Gregory Nash checked his readings. "Many, sir. Very different from human signatures. The station is full of activity." A soft beep came from the communications panel. Olivia's fingers moved quickly across her screen. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission. The computer is translating now." The screen changed to show a being unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It had 6 limbs, skin that shifted colors like an octopus, and 3 sets of eyes arranged vertically on what appeared to be its head. When it spoke, its mouth moved in strange patterns. "Greetings. Vessel from the unknown world. I am High Counselor Zeal of the Galactic Council. Please identify yourselves." Ethan stepped forward, standing tall. "I am Commander Ethan Wright of the Earth Space Force vessel Harbinger. We come in peace as representatives of humanity." The alien's skin rippled, with blue patterns. "Earth, we are not familiar with your world. Please transmit your planetary data for classification." Olivia sent the information about Earth, its size, gravity, atmosphere, and biology. The alien's colors shifted to a deep purple as it reviewed the data. "This cannot be correct," Zeal said finally. "Your gravity readings and atmospheric composition suggest a Class 12 planet. That would make Earth a—" The alien paused, its colors now pulsing red and yellow. "A what?" Ethan asked. "A death world," Zeal replied. "A planet with conditions so harsh that any species evolving there would be naturally dangerous to most galactic life forms." The bridge crew exchanged looks of surprise. Their home had never seemed particularly dangerous to them. "Request permission to dock and discuss further," Ethan said. There was a long pause before Zeal answered. "Permission granted, but with restrictions. Only 3 representatives may board, and you must agree to decontamination and gravity adjustments." Within an hour, Ethan, Olivia, and Keith found themselves in a strange chamber where the gravity had been increased to match Earth's. Their hosts moved slowly and with visible effort in the higher gravity. The room was filled with representatives from different species, all watching the humans with expressions that ranged from curiosity to fear. "We have never encountered a Death World species before," said Zeal, now wearing a mechanical suit to support its body in the Earth-like gravity. "Your biology is concerning." "Concerning how?" asked Keith, his medical curiosity piqued. Another alien stepped forward, this one resembling a tall, slender insect with translucent wings. Your bone density alone would make you living weapons on most council worlds. Your muscles are designed for a gravity pull that would crush many of our citizens. And your endurance, the alien's antennae twitched. Our scientists say you can continue physical activity for days with minimal rest. Olivia smiled gently. We come as friends, not threats. Humans are peaceful explorers. Yet your ship tells a different story, said a third alien, this one floating in a liquid-filled container. A mechanical voice translated its bubbling speech. The Harbinger has been scanned. Its hull could withstand impacts that would destroy our vessels. Its engines generate energy levels far beyond necessity for travel. Ethan felt a chill. What seemed like basic safety features to humans appeared as weapons of war to these beings. The Harbinger is a scientific vessel, he explained. Its features are designed for safety in unknown space, not for aggression. Zeal's colors shifted to a deep blue. Commander Wright, you must understand our position. Your species has evolved in conditions that would kill most council members instantly. What is normal for you is deadly to us. A simple handshake from a human could break the bones of many species here. The meeting continued for hours as the council questioned the humans about their biology, their history, and their intentions. The more the aliens learned, the more concerned they became. They have a history of warfare, whispered one council member loudly enough for the humans to hear. They can survive radiation levels that would kill us, noted another. Their world has thousands of predator species and they stand at the top of their food chain, added a third. Finally, Zeal called for order. The council must discuss this development privately. Please wait here. When the council members left, Olivia turned to Ethan. They're afraid of us, she said quietly. Keith nodded. Not because of what we've done, but because of what we are. We need to show them we're not a threat, Ethan said. Humanity has come too far to be isolated from galactic society, because our planet made us strong. When the council returned, Zeal spoke formally. The Galactic Council has decided to establish limited diplomatic relations with Earth. However, there will be restrictions on human movement within council space, and strict regulations on technology sharing. Ethan knew this was the best outcome they could hope for now. We accept these terms and look forward to proving that humans can be valuable allies despite our differences. As they prepared to return to the Harbinger, a small alien approached them. Unlike the others, it showed more curiosity than fear. Is it true? It asked in a whisper. That humans can heal from broken bones? Olivia smiled. Yes, we can. Our bodies repair themselves over time. The alien's eyes widened. Fascinating. Perhaps you are not just dangerous. Perhaps you are also remarkable. Back aboard the Harbinger, Ethan looked out at the vast council station. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, but that universe viewed them with fear and suspicion. The crew would need to work hard to show the galaxy that the strength that made humans dangerous could also make them powerful protectors. Set course for the designated human sector, Ethan ordered, and open a channel to Earth. They need to know that we're not just humans anymore. What are we, sir? Asked Alan from his station. Ethan's eyes remained fixed on the stars. Deathworlders, and we need to prove that's not something to fear. 6 months had passed since first contact. The Harbinger remained in council space, serving as Earth's first embassy among the stars. Commander Ethan Wright stared at the message on his screen with a mixture of concern and hope. A distress signal? Asked Lieutenant Olivia Martinez, leaning over his shoulder. Ethan nodded. From a council outpost on the edge of known space. They went silent 3 days ago. Gregory Nash, the security chief, crossed his arms. And they're asking us for help? That's new, it was true. Despite months of careful diplomacy, most council species still kept their distance from the humans. They were polite but wary, treating the crew like dangerous animals that might bite at any moment. This could be our chance, said Ethan, standing up from his chair. If we help them, maybe they'll finally see we're not the monsters they think we are. Within hours, Ethan was in a meeting with High Counselor Zeal, whose colors swirled nervously as they discussed the situation. The outpost was studying unusual energy readings, explained Zeal. Then all contact stopped. Our nearest ship is 2 weeks away. The Harbinger could be there in 3 days, Ethan offered. Zeal's colors darkened. Sending humans into an unknown situation is concerning. Your natural instincts might escalate matters, or save lives, Ethan countered. Whatever happened, out there might require people who can handle harsh conditions. After much debate, the Council agreed to a joint mission. 3 Council representatives would join the Harbinger's crew: Zilf, a thin, fragile scientist from a low-gravity world; Nirax, an aquatic diplomat who moved around in a water-filled suit; and Voltar, a desert-adapted technician with rough, sandy skin. As the Harbinger pulled away from the station, Communications Officer Ryan Kelly approached Ethan on the bridge. "Commander, can I speak with you privately?" he asked, his voice low. In Ethan's office, Ryan showed him a series of strange signals he had detected. "I've been monitoring Council communications. There's something they're not telling us about this outpost." "Explain," Ethan said, frowning. "These encrypted transmissions mention something called Velox. Whatever it is, the Council is scared of it." When Ethan questioned Zilf about this, the alien's thin body trembled visibly. "The Velox are predators," Zilf admitted finally. "They attacked several worlds centuries ago before we contained them in their home system. If they've broken out..." The alien didn't finish the sentence. 3 days later, the Harbinger reached the outpost. From orbit, they could see damage to the structures on the small moon's surface. "Life signs?" asked Ethan. Keith Wilson, the medical officer, shook his head. "None that I can detect." The landing party consisted of Ethan, Gregory, Olivia, and the 3 Council representatives. As their shuttle approached, Nirax's water suit bubbled anxiously. "This moon has almost no atmosphere," the aquatic alien noted. "If our suits are damaged, you humans might survive for minutes. We would die instantly." "Then we'll make sure your suits don't get damaged," Gregory said firmly, checking his equipment. The shuttle landed near the main building of the outpost. The structure was partially collapsed, with large holes torn in its walls. The team moved carefully inside, the humans naturally taking the lead. What could do this kind of damage? Olivia wondered, examining a metal wall that had been ripped, open like paper. Voltar, the desert alien, ran a scanner over the torn edges. "These marks match Velox claws. They've definitely grown larger since our last encounter." Suddenly, warning alarms blared from everyone's suits. Gregory looked at his readings. "Acid storm approaching. We've got 2 minutes to find shelter." The A team rushed deeper into the building. Through the holes in the walls, they could see dark clouds rolling in, green lightning flashing within them. The first drops of rain hit the ground outside, sizzling and smoking where they landed. "This section won't hold," cried Zilf as the ceiling above them groaned. Without hesitation, the humans moved to protect their alien companions. When part of the ceiling collapsed, Gregory shoved Zilf out of the way, taking the impact on his own shoulders. Ethan and Olivia positioned themselves to shield the others from debris and acid rain that sprayed through new holes. The Council representatives watched in shock as the humans endured painful burns from acid droplets that would have killed them instantly. The storm passed after 20 minutes, leaving the humans with red, blistered skin on exposed areas. "You need medical attention," said Nirax, staring at the burns on Ethan's face. "It's not that bad," Ethan replied, applying a spray from his medkit. "Our skin is thicker than yours. We'll heal." They continued exploring the outpost and found the main computer room intact. Olivia downloaded the station's logs while Voltar examined a strange device on the central table. "This is Velox technology," the sandy-skinned alien said, his voice tight with fear, "but far more advanced than they should be capable of." The logs revealed the terrible truth. The Velox had been systematically raiding outposts, gathering intelligence and technology. This wasn't random violence, it was preparation for war. "They're planning to attack the Council homeworlds," Ethan said grimly. "We need to get this information back immediately." As they hurried back to the shuttle, movement caught Gregory's eye. "We're not alone," he whispered, drawing his weapon. Suddenly, dark shapes leapt from the shadows. They were massive creatures with 6 limbs ending in razor-sharp claws, their bodies covered in thick plates that resembled armor. Their heads had no eyes that the humans could see, but rows of sensing organs ran along their sides. "Velox scouts," gasped Zilf, freezing in terror. The creatures attacked with frightening speed. One knocked Gregory's weapon away while another 2 circled toward the council representatives. Without hesitation, the humans placed themselves between the aliens and danger. What happened next stunned the council members. The humans fought, back with natural strength and speed that made them blur in motion. Gregory, despite being unarmed, broke one Velox's limb with his bare hands. Olivia used her environment suit's tools as weapons, blinding another creature. Ethan fought with controlled precision, targeting weak points in the Velox's natural armor. The Velox, apparently unprepared for such resistance, retreated after losing 3 of their number. As the last one disappeared, Zilf approached Gregory with new eyes. "You fought them without proper weapons," the fragile alien said in awe. Gregory shrugged, wincing at his injuries. "We did what was necessary." "No," said Nirax, the bubbles in its water suit moving rapidly. "You did what no council species could have done. Now I understand why your world is called a death world. But perhaps that is not entirely a bad thing." Back on the Harbinger, as they treated their wounds and prepared to return to council space with their vital information, Ethan noticed a change in how the 3 representatives interacted with the crew. Their fear remained, but it was now mixed, with something new: respect. "Commander," said Voltar before returning to his quarters, "I always believed evolution on harsh worlds created only monsters. Today I learned it can also create protectors." Ethan smiled slightly. "Remember that when we reach the council, because if the Velox are really planning war, the galaxy might need some Deathworlders on their side." The main council chamber buzzed with worried voices. Representatives from 50 different species sat in rising circles around a central platform, where Commander Ethan Wright stood next to the 3 aliens who had joined the Harbinger's mission. The evidence they had brought back about the Velox threat had caused panic throughout the council. "We cannot risk open war," said a small, bird-like alien with colorful feathers. "Our species would not survive such conflict. Increased defenses and diplomatic outreach are our best options," suggested another council member whose body glowed with soft internal light. Ethan listened to the debate with growing frustration. The council was afraid to act decisively, and he understood why. Most of these species came from gentle worlds with stable environments. They had evolved to discuss and compromise, not to fight. Commander Wright, High Counselor Zeal addressed him, colors moving slowly across its skin. What would Earth do in this situation? All eyes turned to the human. Ethan took a deep breath. "We would prepare for both peace and war, hope for the best but prepare for the worst." "And how would humans prepare for the worst?" asked Zeal. Before Ethan could answer, the chamber doors slid open. Dr. Alexandra Bennett, the Harbinger's chief engineer, walked in quickly. Her face was serious as she approached Ethan and whispered in his ear, "Commander, we've received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Carter is on his way with a fleet. He says it's time to reveal the truth about the Harbinger." Ethan's expression tightened. This wasn't how he had planned things, but perhaps it was for the best. He turned back to face the council. "Members of the Galactic Council, there's something you should know about the Harbinger. It's not just a scientific vessel." A murmur ran through the chamber. Zilf, the fragile alien who had been on the mission, moved forward. "What do you mean, Commander?" Dr. Bennett stepped up and activated a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed detailed schematics of the Harbinger, revealing systems that had been hidden from the Council's initial scans. "The Harbinger is a prototype warship," she explained, her voice calm and clear. "Disguised as a science vessel, but with military capabilities that we kept to ourselves during first contact." The chamber erupted in shouts and exclamations. Some council members stood up in alarm, while others called for the humans to be confined immediately. "You deceived us." Zeal's colors flashed angry red and orange. "This confirms our worst fears about Deathworlders." "We didn't deceive you," Ethan countered firmly. "We simply didn't reveal our full capabilities. Would you have listened to anything we said if we had arrived in a ship that openly displayed its weapons?" "What weapons?" demanded a reptilian council member. Dr. Bennett adjusted the display, showing details of the Harbinger's hidden arsenal. Energy shields capable of withstanding direct hits from asteroids, plasma cannons that can cut through almost any known material, and a drive system that can be modified to create localized gravity distortions. The council fell silent, shock evident on their alien faces. "You brought a planet killer to our doorstep," whispered Nirax, the aquatic alien who had also been on the mission. "No," said Ethan firmly. "We brought a shield. Earth built these ships because our history taught us to be prepared for threats. The universe is vast and unknown. We wanted to be ready for anything." Before the debate could continue, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A council technician rushed in, panic clear in its movements. "High Counselor, we've detected multiple ships entering the system. They match the energy signatures from the Velox outpost." Screens around the chamber lit up, showing a dozen jagged asymmetrical vessels approaching the council station. They moved with unnatural speed, their hulls covered in the same armor-like material as the Velox themselves. "They found us already," gasped Zilf. "How? We were so careful." "They must have tracked the Harbinger when we left the outpost," said Gregory Nash, who stood beside Ethan. "Sir, we need to move now." Ethan nodded and activated his communication device. "All Harbinger crew battle stations. This is not a drill." "What are you doing?" demanded Zeal. "Saving your lives," Ethan replied simply. "Unless you have a better plan?" The council had no answer. Their own ships were primarily designed for transportation and comfort, not combat. The few defense vessels they maintained were scattered across council space. Outside, the Harbinger's true nature was finally revealed. Panels slid open along its hull, exposing weapon systems that had remained hidden for months. The ship moved with surprising speed for its size, positioning itself between the council station and the approaching Velox fleet. In the council chamber, Dr. Bennett had connected her tablet to the station's communication system. The main screen now showed the Harbinger's bridge, where Lieutenant Olivia Martinez and Officer Ryan Kelly worked at their stations. "Target lock on the lead Velox vessel," reported Ryan. "Weapons hot. Hold fire until they're in optimal range," ordered Ethan through his communicator. "We need to make the first shots count." The council watched in stunned silence as the Harbinger engaged the Velox ships. The human vessel moved with grace and precision, its weapons firing in coordinated patterns that spoke of careful design and training. The first Velox ship exploded in a flash of light. "They're changing formation," Olivia reported. 3 ships, breaking off toward the station. "Intercept course," Ethan commanded. "Full power to forward shields." What happened next astonished the watching council members. The Harbinger deliberately placed itself in the path of the Velox ships, absorbing hits that would have destroyed any council vessel. Its shields flared bright blue with each impact, but held firm. Meanwhile, another alert sounded. A new group of ships was approaching fast from the other side of the system. "More Velox?" asked Zeal fearfully. Ethan smiled for the first time that day. "No. That would be Earth." 5 ships similar to the Harbinger but larger entered the battle, their designs clearly from the same fleet. At their center was a massive vessel that dwarfed even the Harbinger. A new face appeared on the communication screen, an older human male with gray hair and a stern expression. "Commander Wright, this is Admiral Philip Carter aboard the ESF Defender. Looks like we arrived, just in time." "Your timing is perfect, Admiral," Ethan replied. The Earthships joined the battle, their superior technology quickly turning the tide against the Velox. Within 30 minutes, the Velox fleet was in retreat, leaving behind only floating debris. When 2, Ethan returned to the council chamber. The mood had changed completely. The council members looked at him with new eyes, still fearful, but now with a hint of hope. "You call that ship a death ship," said Voltar, the desert-adapted alien who had fought alongside Ethan. "Yet you used it to preserve life. The best shields often look like weapons to those who've never had to fight," Ethan replied quietly. "Admiral." Carter joined them in the chamber, his uniform crisp and formal. "Members of the Galactic Council, Earth has monitored this situation since first contact. We came prepared for exactly this scenario." "You knew the Velox would attack?" asked Zeal. "No," said Carter, "but we knew that sooner or later, someone would. That's why we built these ships. That's why we call Earth a death world, because we've never had the luxury of peace." As the council began debating their response to the Velox threat, Lieutenant Martinez approached Ethan quietly. "Commander," she said, her voice low but excited, "I've been analyzing the data from the battle. I think I've found a weakness in Velox biology. Something we might be able to use to end this war without further bloodshed." Ethan looked at the council, still arguing among themselves, then back at his crew, who stood ready for whatever came next. "Show me," he said simply. The war room aboard Admiral Carter's ship, the Defender, was filled with both humans and aliens. Maps and holographic displays showed the Velox home system, a collection of harsh planets orbiting a red star. Commander Ethan Wright stood at the center explaining the plan that Lieutenant Olivia Martinez had developed. "The Velox have a biological weakness," Ethan said, pointing to a detailed image of a Velox's internal systems. "They communicate through a natural chemical network, similar to a hive mind. If we can disrupt this network, we can stop their coordinated attacks without killing them." High Counselor Zeal's colors shifted with doubt. "And how do you propose to deliver this disruption agent? The Velox homeworld is heavily defended." "That's where we come in," said a woman in a dark combat uniform. Staff Sergeant Danielle Foster stepped forward, her posture straight and confident. "My team will take a small ship to the surface and deploy Dr. Bennett's device directly at their main communication hub." The council representatives looked at each other in alarm. "That's suicide," said Nirax, bubbles rising rapidly in its water suit. "The Velox world has toxic air, high radiation, and gravity 30% stronger than Earth's. No council species could survive there, even with protection." Danielle smiled slightly. "Good thing we're not from the council, then. For humans, those conditions are dangerous but manageable. We call it Tuesday on a bad day." Dr. Alexandra Bennett activated another display, showing a small cylindrical device. "This is what we'll use. It emits a targeted frequency that disrupts their chemical signals without causing permanent harm. They'll be confused and disorganized, unable to coordinate their forces. And while Foster's team handles the ground mission, our fleet will engage their orbital defenses," Admiral Carter added. "The Harbinger will lead the assault, drawing their fire away from our smaller vessels." Zeal's colors had darkened to deep blue. "You're asking us to put our fate in the hands of Deathworlders wielding death ships?" "No," Ethan said firmly. "We're offering to fight alongside you against a common enemy. The choice is yours." After hours of debate, the council finally agreed. They had no better options. The Velox were gathering a larger fleet, and the next attack would likely be devastating. 3 days later, the combined human and council fleet arrived at the edge of the Velox system. The human ships formed a protective barrier around the council vessels, which were primarily there to observe and provide support. On the bridge of the Harbinger, Ethan watched the enemy vessels move to intercept them. "All ships, battle formation Delta," he ordered. "Sergeant Foster, is your team ready?" "Ready and eager, Commander," came Danielle's voice over the comm. "Just clear us a path to that planet." The battle began with a flash of weapons fire from both sides. The human ships moved with practiced coordination, creating openings in the Velox defenses while absorbing damage that would have destroyed the Council's vessels. The Harbinger took the lead, its advanced shields glowing bright blue as they deflected, hit after hit. On the Council observation ship, the alien representatives watched in amazement. "Their ship is taking damage that would split our best vessels in half," Zilf noted, its thin body trembling slightly. And they keep fighting. Just like their bodies, Voltar replied, sandy skin shifting thoughtfully. Built to endure what would kill others. Sergeant Foster's dropship launched from the Defender, a small, fast vessel designed for stealth rather than combat. It slipped through the chaos of battle, heading directly for the Velox homeworld. "We're through the orbital defense grid," reported Foster as her ship entered the planet's atmosphere, beginning descent. "Conditions outside are, well, they're not great, but we've seen worse." The council members listening to the transmission couldn't imagine voluntarily entering such a hostile environment. The sensors showed radiation levels that would kill most of them within minutes, even with protection. Foster's ship landed in a rocky canyon, away from the main Velox settlements. She led her team of 6 humans out onto the surface, each wearing environmental suits that were lightweight compared to what a council species would need. "Gravity's heavier than I expected," one of her team members commented, adjusting his movements. "Like carrying an extra 40 pounds. "Keep it tight, stay focused," Foster ordered. "We have 3 miles to the communication hub and limited air supply." They moved through the harsh landscape, encountering conditions that would be lethal to most galactic species. Acid pools dotted their path, while the high radiation caused their sensors to give constant warnings. Yet the humans pressed on, their Deathworld heritage allowing them to endure. In orbit, the battle continued. The Harbinger had taken significant damage, but its weapons remained operational. "Hull breach on decks 3 and 4, reported Ryan Kelly from his station. "Emergency force fields are holding. Reroute power from non-essential systems to weapons," Ethan ordered. "We need to keep their attention on us." The Velox ships seemed to recognize the Harbinger as the main threat, focusing their attacks on the human vessel. The ship shuddered, with each impact, but held together. On the surface, Foster's team reached the communication hub, a massive, organic-looking structure that pulsed with strange energy. "Getting some resistance," Foster reported as Velox guards detected the intruders. "Nothing we can't handle." The firefight was brief but intense. The humans moved with speed and precision that surprised even the physically formidable Velox. What? The aliens had in natural armor. The humans matched with tactical thinking and adaptability. "Devices in position," Foster announced after securing the area. "Activating now." Dr. Bennett, watching from the Defender, monitored the readings. "The disruption field is expanding. It should reach their command centers in approximately 3 minutes. Throughout the Velox system, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The enemy ships began to move erratically, their coordinated attack patterns falling apart. Some stopped firing altogether, while others began to retreat. "It's working," Ethan said with relief. "Their hive mind is losing cohesion." Then a troubling alert came from the planet's surface. The Velox leadership, recognizing their defeat, had activated a self-destruct sequence in their central power core. If it detonated, the entire planet would be destroyed, along with billions of Velox. They would rather die than lose. Admiral Carter said grimly, "A final act of defiance." Ethan stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. Then his expression changed as he reached a decision. "Dr. Bennett, can we modify the Harbinger's gravity drive to contain the explosion?" Bennett's eyes widened. "Theoretically, yes, but we'd need to be directly above the power core, and the ship might not survive the strain." "Then that's where we're going," Ethan said firmly. "Everyone not essential to this operation, evacuate to the Defender." "Commander," Olivia protested, "the Harbinger is too damaged. This is suicide." "No," Ethan replied. "This is why Earth built death ships in the first place. To protect life, not just take it." Despite objections, Ethan ordered the Harbinger into position above the Velox power core. The ship's remaining crew worked frantically to modify the gravity drive as Foster's team extracted safely to orbit. "Drive modifications complete," Bennett reported. "But sir, this will drain all our remaining power. We'll be defenseless." "Understood," Ethan said calmly. "Activate on my mark." As the Velox core began its final countdown, the Harbinger's gravity drive engaged. A sphere of distorted space surrounded the core, containing the massive energy release that would have destroyed the planet. The ship groaned and shuddered as systems failed throughout its structure. On the Council observation vessel, all eyes watched the incredible scene unfold. "They're sacrificing their ship to save an enemy world," Zilf whispered in disbelief. When the core's energy finally dissipated, the Harbinger drifted silently, its power gone, hull blackened and torn. But the planet below remained intact. And the Velox civilization survived. Rescue ships quickly moved to retrieve the Harbinger's crew. In the council chamber days later, a formal ceremony was held. Commander Ethan Wright, still bandaged from injuries, stood with his crew as Zeal addressed the gathered representatives. "We have long classified Earth as a death world, and viewed its people with fear," the High Counselor said, its colors glowing bright gold. "Today we create a new classification. Earth is now designated a guardian world, a planet whose harsh conditions forge species capable of protecting others." Zeal turned to face Ethan directly. "And the vessel once called a death ship will now be known as a shield ship in all council records. For when faced with destruction, you chose to save not only friends but enemies as well. There is perhaps no greater mark of a guardian." As the ceremony concluded, Lieutenant Martinez approached Ethan with a smile. "So what's next for the Deathworlders?" she asked. Ethan looked around at the council chamber, at the many alien species now looking to humanity not with fear but with hope. "Now," he said, "we show them what humans can really do when we're not fighting. Because the best part about coming from a death world isn't that we're hard to kill. It's that we never stop trying to build something better.